Welcome to our webinar for April, an introduction to tasks and planner. So I am Isabel Schmidt. I am the fractional CIO and EVP of projects here at Improving IT. And I'm joined today with our company president, Joshua Smith. And so this is part of a webinar series that we're doing on the entirety of the Microsoft Modern Workplace and Microsoft 365 platform. So many organizations, they take out a Microsoft 365 subscription and they just use it for their email and some desktop applications. But there's so much more that's involved in the platform. And so we're taking organizations through one step at a time to help deploy and get the most out of what they're paying for. So if you are using Microsoft 365 business products, that's going to be Business Standard, Business Premium, even Business Basic, you're going to have all of these tasks and planner features. So aside from the apps for business, which doesn't include any of the services required for that because it's just your desktop applications, all of the other Microsoft Business 365 plans include these features. You're going to have the collaboration with the rest of your team members, rich task lists that include files and checklists, all of it. So today we're joined by Joshua Smith, our company president, and he's going to walk you through some of his workflows and how he uses Microsoft 365 to manage his day.
Yeah, thank you, Isabel. Thank you all for coming along. I'm really excited to go over these products. As Isabel mentioned, they are things that I use every day in my day-to-day work, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some of the functionality with you all. So quickly go through the agenda here. So we're going to start with an introduction to Tasks and Planner, and then we'll kind of dive into tasks first with a bit of an intro overview and then a demo. We'll talk a little bit about flagging emails and how that works with tasks. And we'll look at Planner as well, intro and the demonstration as well, and then we'll wrap up at about 11:30 Pacific time. So let's jump straight into it. So firstly, we're going to talk about tasks. So Microsoft Tasks can be found at todo.office.com/tasks. And it's really a task management tool that's intended for the individual. So it's a way of a single person managing their work. You can organize and prioritize your tasks. Obviously, you can create them. You can set due dates. You can prioritize them, categorize them, organize them in a way that makes the most sense to you. And then you can view all of your assigned work in one place, including work that comes from Planner or your email, which we'll take a touch on a little bit as well. So if we jump now into a little bit of an overview of the product. One note here before we start is I did record this yesterday just to make sure that everything flowed, and also so that I could blur out some of the tasks we're looking at here, which are perhaps confidential or private. Won't affect the demonstration, but if you see the wrong date, then that is why. So we start here on the My Day view, and you can see here we have a number of categories laid out. Some of them are by default. They're ones that came from Microsoft. So My Day, where we are right now, is things that are due today that you might want to look at. So for example, here I've got Rehearse Webinar. You can look at this in a grid view as well. It gives you a bit more information. Personally, I prefer to work with the list. And then secondly, you've got important things. So these are things that you've flagged. You can see you've got the star there on the right-hand side, marking them as important. Planned is anything with a due date. And at the top, it says earlier. As I explained this out, you'll see some red in the blurring there, which means that they were due in the past and are overdue now. All is kind of a bucket where you can see all of your tasks, no matter where they came from. Assigned to me is things that's been assigned to you from Planner. So these are personal tasks that have come from Planner. And then we've also, next up, we've got flagged email. So we'll talk about this in a little bit more and how this works later. But flagged emails is really anything that's been flagged in your email, like it says. It's a really good way of keeping track of things that may otherwise fall out of your attention. We all know how many emails we get. Tasks is this is your basic task list where you can just go and type things in. And below that line are ones that you've created. So in my case, I've created one for Do Next. One for email shortcuts, so things I might want to find in the future webinar recordings that I want to look at if I have 50 minutes left at the end of a day or something like that. And then down below that, I've got what's missing, and I honestly don't remember why I created that list. So probably something that I can go and clean up later. But yeah, so you've got the functionality there to create as many lists as you like. You can see down the bottom there, you've got the new list button as well, and that allows you to go and create as many lists as you like. And then it's really just a drag and drop to move stuff into that list. So we jump onto a bit more of a deep dive on tasks now. So to add a task, you're going to click on the Add Task button and fill out the details that you need. Or you can just type it straight in. We'll look at this in the demo a little bit shortly. Give it a due date, assign priority levels, and then organize it into different categories as well. And then to manage tasks, you can mark them as complete. You can update statuses. And you've also got reminders and notifications, so you can stay on top of them. Really, the goal here is to make sure things don't get missed and you can meet any deadlines that you might have efficiently. So let's have a look at a bit more of a demo of tasks. So we start here on the My Day view. As I mentioned, this is really anything that has got a due date of today. But you can also add tasks directly in here as well. So you can see at the top, we've got a box that says Add a Task. And we can just come in here and start typing, really, if we wanted to. So, for example, in this case, let's put something like upload to YouTube or post webinar on YouTube. So I can go and I type that straight in here, and I just hit enter when I'm done. That's created the task. If I want to add some more details, I can click on it, and then you get a panel down the right-hand side with a few different functionality options there. So you can add multiple steps. So you can have like subtasks within this task. So for this case, I've got wait until website is rendered, post online to YouTube, and then send out a follow-up email, follow-up link. So everyone who's in this webinar will get an email with a link to this. And then you can set reminders. So in this case, let's say I want to be reminded on Monday morning if I haven't done it. So I want that pop-up that says, hey, have you done this yet? But I actually want to do this week. So let's set a due date. We can pick default ones there, but let's go pick a date and pick Friday, so tomorrow, and say that's when I want it to be due. We can set it to repeat. So we can make a task recurring if we want, for meetings and things like that. And we can also pick our own categories. So you can see here we've got delegated, done, action by another one of our team, or urgent. These are categories that I've created. You can also add a file there if you like. And then also you've got the ability, like we kind of touched on before, to mark a task as important. So right now I've got 2 important tasks. And if I come across and check the little star at the side, you can see now my importance gone to 3. So this task has immediately been prioritized and it's come to the top of my list. I'll just uncheck that. Yeah, so that's kind of a quick overview of how you manage and create tasks. And as I touched on it a little bit as well, so you've got the ability to flag emails in Outlook. Just to explain a little bit more what that means. In Outlook, you can set emails as needing review, and this has been a functionality of Outlook for a very long time. But it was always separate from any task list that you might want to manage. Now you can have them show up straight in To Do and manage them alongside other tasks. So this helps you keep track of important emails, make sure you don't miss anything. I know for me, and I'm sure for most of you, you get hundreds of emails a day. It's very easy. You're on your phone, you read an email and think, oh, I've got to get back to that later. But you don't actually put it in a flow that's going to make that happen. So in this case, I've got a reminder from our finance admin to send in some receipts, and I've hit the little flag there, and this means it now shows up as flagged emails in my to-do list. I've actually got mine set up to flag all of my emails, and I have to manually unflag them once that task is completed. That requires a bit of a Power Flow integration, which is another Microsoft product. Maybe we'll talk about that in another webinar. But for now, if you manually flag them, they will absolutely show up in your to-do list. So let's move on now to Planner. So like we talked about, tasks is really for your individual work. Planner is for managing the work of your team. So planner.cloud.microsoft, there's a couple of other links that will get you there as well. So it's really a project management tool. So designed for team collaboration, you got granular access control. So you can say, I want this planner board to be for this team. You can select a group of people and manage who's got access to it. So you can use this for everything. You can also allow users to create plans and add tasks, and then you can assign out work. And that work will then flow into your staff's priority and to-do lists. And then you can track progress with charts and boards. So let's start with a quick overview of Planner. So we're starting here again in the My Day view. And you can see here, it actually looks very similar to the one we had in tasks. So it just lists out stuff that's due today. But we've got a bit of an extra column here, which is where did this task come from? Because in Planner, it could have come from a bunch of different places. So in this case, rehearse webinar, you can see there it's come from my private tasks. And that's just telling me, basically telling me that it comes from my to-do list. And then it's come a long way, this product. There's still a few things that don't behave, but Microsoft is really focused on making this a single pane product so you can view all of your work from Planner, or also integrated into Teams as well. You can access Planner directly from inside your Teams. And then just like to tasks, you've also got a My Task List. Again, showing all of your tasks, just giving you a bit more information here on where they came from. The color coding there kind of aligns to the plans you can see down the left-hand side. So we also have a full list of plans. And for me, there's a bunch there that I've pinned. So these are plans that I want to have easily to hand, that I use regularly. For the sake of this demonstration, though, we're going to look at our Improving IT rebranding project. So we recently rebranded. We were Cook-Off Technologies. We are now Improving IT, and we manage that project through a planner board. So what we've got here, you can see it's got more functionality than tasks, right? You've got a bit more visualization, and this is really about building out a bigger plan. So you can have multiple tasks within this, excuse me, multiple tasks within this plan that you can assign out, have your team work. Really a board that you can gather around to have a look and see how to move a specific project forward. So that's a quick overview of Planner. Let's jump ahead now into a bit of a demonstration. So we're going to create a plan. So to do that, we're going to click the New Plan button, enter some details. Like I mentioned, it's really about having tasks for multiple team members rather than the single team member that tasks is for. And then you've also got visualization. So you can track your progress, see what's completed, collaborate with team members, and share updates and comments on tasks as well. So let's jump into a bit of a demonstration of Planner. So here I'm on my full list of plans, like I mentioned before. You can actually filter this as well. You can see you've got buttons at the top for recent, shared, personal, pinned, recommended, various ways of filtering the plans. You can see I've got quite a lot here. But for this demonstration, we're going to create a brand new plan. So the first thing that comes up when you choose to create a plan is some templates that Microsoft provided. So you've got things you can see there like project management, software development, employee onboarding, business plans. And then if you go see all templates, you'll see there's more there, and there's more that you can get from Microsoft as well. Kind of lots of default setups there. But for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to use a simple plan. We're going to give it a name. So we're going to call it Webinar Planner Board. I'm going to tick Add to my pinned plans. And here I could assign it to a group. So I could say one of my teams within my organization, I want to have access to this plan. For the sake of the demonstration, I'm just going to have this one set to myself. So let's go create. It'll run away and create the plan for us. And it actually creates default columns and default tasks, which for this purpose is really useful because it means that I've got something that I can demonstrate a lot of the functionality. So we're going to start with a simple task here. So you can see we've got assigned tasks, and it's in a column called backlog. You'll notice there's a number of different columns here that it's created. They call them buckets. And you can actually go and create new buckets as well if you want, or rename existing ones. So if I come up here and add a new bucket called delayed, it'll allow me to create that. And as soon as I've done that, you'll see there's now add a new bucket further on. So you can create as many as you like. Obviously, if you create too many, they'll go off the edge of the screen. So we're going to start having a look at this assigned tasks. This is a very basic task right now. You can see it's called assigned tasks. It's not assigned to anybody. So it's going to suggest me because I'm the only one on this plan. If there were more people, they would be listed there. Or I could assign it to someone who's not on this plan and it would add them. I can color code it. You know, think of post-it notes on a whiteboard, right? That Kanban philosophy. We can color it there. We can assign it to a bucket. So this one you can see is in backlog. We can give it a status. This is really for reporting purposes, and priority as well. So you can classify how important or urgent is this particular task. You can give it a start date and a due date. You don't actually have to give it a start date. So in this case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to give it a due date. Let's set the due date to the day that I recorded this video, which was yesterday, 29th. You can set repetition just like you can on tasks as well. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to add some notes, some additional detail for what this task is. In this case, we're going to say list out the tasks that need to be completed and assign them to specific team members. And you'll notice as soon as I tab out of this, we get a little checkbox that pops up saying show on card. And this shows us now that we want to see this information directly on the card. So we don't actually need to click into this task to see this information. We could uncheck that if we wanted to. Okay, so let's have a look at another task here that the system's created for us. So this one doesn't have notes, but it does have a checklist, which is a list of sub-steps under this particular task. And within this, you've also got the ability to elevate. So maybe the subtask, we decide, actually, this is so important that we need it to be its own task so we can visualize it separately, we can assign it separately and things like that. So we just click on make this a new task. And once we click that, you'll see it's actually added. It's moved it out of this list and added it directly to the board up there as add notes. And this can now have all of those fields that we mentioned set independently. And then we can add a note, and then we can add a sub checklist to this one. You'll notice as well, when we added the checklist, we've now got the ability to show either notes or the checklist items on the card, or none. The one thing you can't do is show both. You have to pick one thing to show on the card. So in this case, let's just choose the checklist for now. And then finally, you've got the ability to add attachment. So this is a link to a URL. This could be a SharePoint file that you're working on or something like that. In this case, I'm just going to use our new Improving IT website. If you haven't checked it out, please go and do so. We're really happy with how it came out. So we're going to put in the URL address there, improvingit.ca, put in the text to display, Improving IT website, and then hit add. And you can see it's gone. It's grabbed the little icon of our rocket ship and added it to the attachment. I want to show this on the card. You can see the rocket is now there on the task itself. I can click on the task, and click on the attachment, and it'll take us to that file or to that link. In this case, it'll take us to the website. So yeah, that's you can kind of see the general layout of what you're looking here. And then finally, you can move things backwards and forwards. So you can change the bucket from within the task as well. You can see that moved it back to the up next column. But for me, I think it's nice to have that visualization of dragging that task along, particularly when you drag it to completed because the work is done. And then also you can see we've got due dates here. So the one that is red is overdue. That's in the past. The others were in the present or the future when I recorded the demo. So they're not red. Various ways of looking at the data. We can look at a grid view where it lists it all out. The board view, which we've already looked at. You can have a look at a schedule view as well. So you can see here, this is a calendar showing us again, that little red one that's overdue and what else is going to be coming up in the future. You can click straight into the task from here and manage it like you would on any other view. And then you've also got the charts view. So this gives you an idea of where you're at, really. So you can see here it's breaking down our tasks by bucket, by status, by priority, showing us that red task again so that we can see it, and showing us who the work's assigned to. So in this case, we've got 4 tasks that aren't assigned to anybody and 2 tasks that are assigned to me. And then over on the right-hand side here, we've got the task list again, so we can manage from there. Yeah, and then finally, to kind of bring it back to where we started, if we go back to my day, you can see that those tasks are now visible on this list. You can see where they came from. They came from the planner board. All the other information is there as well. And then if we go back to tasks, my to-do list, my day, those ones are there as well with that information. So the work from your planner effectively then flows back into your tasks. So you get together as a group, you have a discussion, you plan the work out, and then an individual, each team member goes back to their desk, they go to my tasks and they see, hey, this is what I need to do today. This is what's assigned to me. This is where it came from. And so you can really chunk work out. The purpose of it really is so that people don't get overwhelmed by everything they have to do. You know, you have a task list with 50 items on it. Where do you start? Well, we start by prioritizing that work, laying out what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, what dates we need to hit that on. And then a team member just goes straight to my day. This is how I work. I start with my email. I go through, make sure everything's red, flagged the stuff that I need, go through that and say, hey, I need to do this today. I need to do this by next week. I don't need to do this by any particular date, but I want to remember it. Lay it all out. And then I just go to my day and I work through that list. You know, if I finish everything on my day, I'll go looking for more, but often, you know, this is where I'll spend a lot of my time between meetings and the other work that I need to do to make sure the most important things get moved ahead. So yeah, that's a really kind of quick overview of tasks and planner. I did just want to touch on one more thing as well. Sorry, Isabel. It's going to quickly touch on project as well, since we have a couple of minutes.
Sure.
So project is another step up from this. It's really a fully functioning project management system. It's a different SKU. It's sold separately. If you're really interested in learning more about project as well, then we could certainly do a webinar on it in the future. But for most team users, you'll find that a combination of tasks and planner will do everything you need. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll hand it back over to Isabel.
All right. Thank you, Joshua, for taking us through that. That's great information. It's nice to see a workflow like that really kind of come together, and especially because these are tools that are just built into the Microsoft 365 workflows. And you can see that, you know, integration between Outlook, between Planner, between tasks and to-do, and it's all part of your package. So if you as an organization are struggling to get, you know, task management kind of under control, definitely take a look at these products. Do we have any questions for our team?
No, not just at the moment, no.
All right, so we'll move on then. Do put something in there, we can circle back to it, or we can follow up later with an email if you've got a question. Why work with Improving IT? Here's a great quote from Lorraine Wild, the band administrator at Squeala First Nations. And this was an organization that we came into. They had very kind of aged legacy infrastructure that really wasn't working very well for them. And we came in, and over the course of a few months, we deployed the Microsoft Modern Workplace for them. And they found new improvements and efficiencies and cost savings by using the products that they already had to replace their legacy infrastructure. So if you're still one of those organizations that's not fully working in the modern workplace, check out the rest of our webinars on what all of these tools look like and how you can utilize them. If you're not sure where to get started, send us an email or visit us on our website. You can book an initial consultation and we can talk about where you're at and what you can use the Microsoft Modern Workplace to manage inside of your team, whether that's tasks or any of the other applications we've gone over with SharePoint and Teams, etc. Our next webinar is going to be, as always, on the last Wednesday of May, and it's going to be on planning for the Windows 10 end of life. So that end of life is coming up relatively quickly in October. If you've still got devices that are legacy, they can't be updated to Windows 10, we'll talk about replacement options. And then we'll also talk about making sure you've got those computers that are capable of getting updated moved ahead and that deployment going up. So we're going to be talking about the Windows 10 end of life next week or next month. And if you've got any questions for us at any time about any IT services, including the Microsoft Modern Workplace, don't hesitate to reach out. You can send us an email, hello@improvingit.ca. You can go to our website, improvingit.ca, and fill out a form on our website there for contact. You can give us a phone call. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. We post about these webinars, we post newsletters, we post all kinds of things about technology and how it can help you improve your organization. And I'm a people person, so don't hesitate, reach out and connect with me directly. Send me a message on LinkedIn, whatever, happy to connect and see how you're doing in your organization. That's all for April. Thank you very much for coming, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.